40 degrees. The sun is out. There is a little bit of a breeze, always swirling, and makes it a headache for kickers and special teams.
Quit lying. You were freezing down there in pregame. I saw you.
I'm not used to fair weather. Pete Carroll hopes his team can handle it much better than when they played here in the playoffs last year. And Lovie Smith trying to tell his team to keep it together. A devastating loss against the Broncos on the road last week. And then, of course, the Sam Hurd news that we will get into. No longer a part of the Chicago team.
Yeah, and listen, they are right on the fringe of the playoff race and right in the middle of this thing, sitting in the 7th spot. And Lovie Smith knows that. There's going to be 3, 4, 5 opportunities in this game, Chris, as there have been over the last 3 in which they lost, that they didn't make the plays. Today they're going to have to get it right and make those 3 or 4 critical plays that present themselves.
Devin Hester, we mentioned he tweaked an ankle in practice. Should be okay to go on punt returns. Johnny Knox is back to receive Stephen Hauschka's kick. The Bears won the toss and elected to receive. Knox with 1 career kickoff return for a touchdown and has blazing speed. So we'll watch Hester's situation closely. Here's Seahawks underway in Chicago. A liner into the sun, and Knox has it. Tripped up short of the 16-yard line. Chris Maragos, one of the top special teams players for the Seahawks, making the stop. And his 4th consecutive start, his 4th NFL start, Caleb Haney.
Yeah, and listen, his first 2 starts, 6 interceptions in those games. None last week, but as I said, didn't make those 3 or 4 plays that he had to. Marion Barber, we know about the fumble and the mental error running out of bounds last week, but he was certainly a workhorse. The offensive line is held together. Chris Spencer will be interesting today. The right guard, who's a former first-round pick of Seattle.
Marion Barber, who is trying to get over the staying in bounds and fumbling situation of last week against the Broncos. And for Seattle, that front 7 you talked about in the open, they've been tough to beat.
Yeah, the D-line's really playing well and setting it all up for him. The rookie KJ Wright has been outstanding. He really has, and very versatile. And in the back end with those corners, Sherman goes 6'3", Brandon Browner 6'4", Cam Chancellor at 6'4". They're number 3 in the NFL in pass breakups. They get their hands on a lot of footballs.
Haney to throw on 2nd and 8, and it's with his big mitt in the air, knocked down and almost intercepted by Chris Clemens, or at least with a possibility, dropping back from his defensive end position.
Well, and Caleb Haney never saw him, and period. Chris Clemens is the best pass rusher of the Seattle Seahawks. He's got 9 sacks. He gets after it. Pete Carroll, what he did there was he dialed up a little zone pressure where he brought the blitz from one side, put his defensive end in coverage. Caleb Haney never saw that Clemens did drop. Lucky that one wasn't intercepted.
You saw the 3rd down percentages since Caleb Haney's been in there the last few games, and it's 3rd down and 8. He has time. He floats it out of bounds. And the fans are going to be on Caleb Haney early here in Chicago. It's 4th down.
Actually did a pretty good job of eluding pressure right there because Chris Clemens was in his grill. The right defensive end for Seattle threw a nice spin move on Jamarcus Webb. You see there, big 73, the left tackle, and Caleb Haney got away from it and had to throw the ball away with the tight coverage.
Leon Washington back to receive the punt of Adam Podlish. Seahawks should have excellent field position. This is Washington. Gets across the 40-yard line where Seattle will take over on offense. And Tavares Jackson, who finally in the last week and a half has been able to practice on a regular basis, and miraculously that torn neck, that pec muscle, he says, has kind of healed on its own.
And he has had the support of that run game. Michael Robinson has played a big role, as have the tight ends in the blocking game for Marshawn Lynch, who's been over 105 in the last 6, and it's been a revolving door for the offensive line. Paul McQuiston, the left tackle, will have his hands full today. A matchup we'll watch all day long with Julius Peppers right there.
Marshawn Lynch. And that's the way he's been going, out across the 45. And Henry Melton, the defensive tackle, is out with a leg injury and infection Amobi Okoye steps in for him.
And those two defensive tackles, Chris, are going to have to play lights out. Anytime you're defending a zone running scheme where offensive linemen are blocking a zone, the tackles have to play great to keep the linebackers clean. Of course, Urlacher and Briggs still doing their thing. Corners have played good. Safeties have had some issues. When you look at those two safeties, of course, they're missing Major Wright here for the Bears defense.
Triple. Go Friday, set.
Second down 6. Lynch near midfield. It'll bring up 3rd and 2.5. Marshawn Lynch came in with 969 yards, aiming for the 3rd 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. The other 2 in Buffalo early in his career.
The beast has been turned loose, and I think it was about the Dallas game, the game we did in Dallas, where they just said, forget it. We are going to commit to the run game. We are going to feed our guy. And Lynch has been outstanding. He's taken on the responsibility and has run with it, literally.
3rd and 2. Tavares Jackson under pressure. Throws it out of bounds at Julius Peppers. Didn't let Seattle's quarterback get comfortable.
Well, one thing they'll do with Julius Peppers is they'll move him around. And we saw Julius typically over here. Well, over here he's playing left end. They're trying to run a little action that way with the quarterback and block down and then try to pick up Julius Peppers with a running back. No chance. He forced Tavares Jackson to throw it away.
So the defenses win on 3rd down for each as Devin Hester is back to receive the punt from John Ryan. Oh, good pressure, but he gets it off. And it bounces inside the 5. An excellent kick. So field position, a 48-yard boot with no return. And the Bears will start out in a hole.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
From the 3 on 1st and 10. Marion Barber carries, and the Seahawks, who are #1 in the NFL versus the run on 1st down, do their job.
Well, they're good on the run on just about every down. When you look at what they've done in the last 5 games, I mean, they have hammered opposing run games, and the 3rd down stuff, they've gotten after the quarterback, the takeaways. These guys have really found their groove, and like I said, it's about sending 5 guys in pressure for Pete Carroll and playing tight coverage with those guys in the secondary.
Barber. It'll bring up 3rd down. After that first drive, 3 and out, that was the 51st of the season for the Bears. They don't want another one.
No, especially when you're pinned up against your own goal line. You'd like to get some relief and get it out past the 20, and you're going to see a lot of this today. All this pulling, all this power run game, which not a bunch of teams are doing around the NFL anymore. It's always been a staple of Mike Mart's offense. And that's certainly what Marion Barber is better at in terms of being a patient runner and reading all those pulling blocks up front.
180!
3rd and 6. Haney's pass. Johnny Knox. Fumble. Ball is loose. And the Seahawks have the football. Earl Thomas came up with it after Johnny Knox caught it and lost it. And Johnny is down.
I think it was Cam Chancellor, I believe, Chris, that knocked it out. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You have an opportunity to make a play, and here it is. He's going to find right into the soft spot of the zone. It's a terrific throw from Caleb Haney. It comes out on time. Watch him throw right in between the corner and the safety, and I believe 31 right there. Cam Chancellor, the other safety, gets his hand on it.
Yeah, but he got
knocks
hit
it out
by Hargrove when the ball came out. Hargrove nails Johnny Knox right in there. You can't see it from that angle, and that's why Knox is still laying on the
As
field.
he was going down on the ground, Anthony Hargrove, the big defensive lineman, landed on top of him. But that's what Pete Carroll's defense have done over the last 5 games. We just showed the graphic.
So Earl Thomas comes up with the recovery after the fumble by Johnny Knox, and we will check on the injury and return in a moment.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Seattle's defense with a takeaway. Johnny Knox is still down on the field with Matt Forte already out. The Bears' leading rusher and receiver, Johnny Knox, was the leading receiver in the game, active for the Bears.
And just got caught in an awkward position, Chris. I mean, took a vicious shot as he tried to lay out to recover the fumble. Anthony Hargrove went flying in there to recover the fumble as well, and just caught Johnny Knox in an awkward position and really just bowed him backwards.
Knox, a light receiver,
okay.
185 pounds. We hope that he's okay. Let's get a game break. Check in with Kurt Menefee. Kurt?
Well, Kyle Orton making his first start for the Chiefs against those unbeaten Green Bay Packers. Gets a little help from his friend. Thomas Jones on the screenplay takes it 27 yards. He's out at the 4. The Packer defense held after that. Kansas City, though, has the lead. 3-0 in the early going. Chris and Tim?
Thanks, Kurt, for the update. Johnny Knox injury again. It was Chancellor who knocked the ball loose after the catch, but Anthony Hargrove, number 94, coming in afterwards. He slams head on with Knox.
And you can see what happens to Knox here as he loses the ball. Watch as he lays out, and then Hargrove going for it at the same time catches him right under the chin and just bends his body backwards, clearly in the direction, Chris, the body's not supposed to go.
Anytime a player is down on the field that long, certainly you're very concerned. And we will hope for the best. Certainly for the Bears, when you consider the news of Sam Hurd, who was a receiver who just joined the team prior to this season, his drug arrest, he's been cut loose. They have an open roster spot currently, so he's no longer a part of the team. But to a man, including Lovie Smith, they were shocked by the news. That's one area. You also have a devastating loss. In fact, there were those in the locker room who said that loss to Denver last week after a 10-0 advantage was as tough a loss as they'd seen, even comparing it to a playoff loss for the Bears. So very emotionally fragile. Lovie Smith said, hey, we're pros. We'll move on from this. But what's your sense of this team being around them in this game?
Yeah, well, I think the Denver loss psychologically was a much bigger hit than the Sam Hurd issue was during the week. Look, I think you said it. Shocked was the feeling they had here. I think they felt a bit betrayed, and you trust somebody, and they are a family member when you're on the team. But at the end of the day, Sam Hurd was released on Friday. It was a media distraction all week. I promise you, when that ball was kicked off today, it's the last thing in any of these guys' minds is Sam Hurd and what he's allegedly being accused of right now. So again, during the week, media distraction. Right now, no worries. This is a much bigger issue right now. Johnny Knox's injury, if he ends up not being able to come back and be part of this game.
Certainly the Bears will rally around that.
Today's game is sponsored by Sprint. All football, no limits, only from Sprint. By State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, now playing in theaters everywhere.
Here in Chicago, second possession for the Bears. Johnny Knox, after a catch and a fumble, hit hard. He is moving his hands and his arms. There's Anthony Hargrove, who going for the loose football after the fumble ran into Knox, and they had put him on a stretcher. Very popular player. And the fans cheer for Johnny Knox. Tim Ryan just spoke of the emotion, psychological impact the last week has had, and certainly the Bears will have to make another adjustment here. Not only what they lose on the field, but the energy that Johnny Knox brings. They are slowly taking that cart away as Johnny will head to the locker room.
Hate seeing that, Chris. Just an illustration of how physical and how vicious this game can be at any moment. And you're trying to recover a fumble. You have no idea that a 285-pound defensive lineman's bearing down on you with the same idea and get caught in a bad, awkward position.
25th takeaway of the season for the Seahawks, and now they take over on offense. from the Bears 22 on first down, and that is complete down to the goal line. Cameron Mora with the catch. The Seahawks, of their 3 tight ends, they do not have a touchdown reception this year.
And they do a lot of this. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, because Mora's out there split wide. He's matched up on a cornerback, Charles Tillman. Clearly, that tells the quarterback zone. Cameron Mora runs an in route, well placed in between the linebacker and the corner. 22 personnel, heavy run set, and they throw the football out.
The pitch to Leon Washington, and the Bears are ready for it. Chris Conti from his safety spot. It'll be second and goal.
And Conti and both of their safeties spent a lot of time up in the run box, and because of this personnel grouping, you're going to have those safeties up there anyway. It's a little flip 90, fake it one way, flip it out to your running back. The Bears saw it coming, they were all over it.
Loss of 2. Marshawn Lynch will lose all the way back to the 10-yard line.
Chris, this is what I was talking about with the defensive tackles, and this is Stephen Paya, the second-round pick. They're going to have to play great against any time you get these zone tracks. Watch him just come flying through with penetration right inside of the right guard. Hits Lynch in the backfield, no chance. Perfect.
2 straight runs, 2 straight losses. The Bears defense on its game.
Oh, they can play the run now.
Tavares Jackson to Marshawn Lynch, and he will not make it into the end zone. 4th down. Stouts and Briggs were there.
What a great stop. Briggs saw that before it was even thrown. Lance Briggs, I want you to watch 55 and watch him identify what's happening, and he's going to get on his horse and run right away. He peeked inside just for a second, saw Marshawn Lynch release quickly on a swing route, and got after him. Very good job in a sudden change situation after a turnover, coming in and holding him to hopefully a field goal here.
A 22-yard try. Hauschka. The snap, the hold was bobbled somewhat, but the kick goes through, and there's a flag down. So hold everything here. And Hockley, our referee, subbing for Tony Corrente.
Yeah, this one's going on Chicago. That's why I said hopefully a field goal. You never know.
Personal foul, leverage by the defense.
Oh.
Number 21 was on the back of a player and used that to gain elevation. That is a foul by rule, half the distance to the goal, and an automatic first down.
That's Corey Graham, the special teams captain.
Well, that's why I said hopefully. And Corey Graham was just trying to get up over the top. It was nothing intentional. He just ended up, as he lifted off the ground, he landed, it looked like, on Israel Adonijah's shoulders. And that's why the call was made.
A leverage call. And after they had a 1st and goal at the 1 and were forced into a 4th down field goal try, now from the 2, a fresh set of downs for Seattle.
There's no problem leaping, but you've got to come down on the ground. You can't come down on one of your own players.
That's the leverage violation. Marshawn Lynch, touchdown Seahawks. That's 10 in a row, 10 straight games. A Seattle record that Marshawn Lynch has scored a touchdown.
Well, and that wasn't the zone play. That looked like a little power play, a little quick inside power play to Marshawn Lynch. He just slammed it in there.
The crowd here silent. It seemed like the Bears defense was rocked by that penalty after 3 great stops. Stephen Hauschka's extra point. And man, things shifted in a hurry as Marshawn Lynch goes into the end zone. He'll be enjoying some Skittles any moment. It's 7-0 Seattle. Seattle kicking off, but because of the injury to Johnny Knox, Devin Hester with a tender ankle back to return the kickoff. He can handle it. excellent kick by Hauschka to keep it away from Hester. Johnny Knox will get a report in a moment with a back injury, headed to the hospital.
Here's the touchdown, and it is a little inside power. They're going to pull Jean-Pierre. When you pull somebody, you better have great down blocks. Watch the terrific down blocks by Unger at center and the left tackle McQuiston. They get terrific down blocks. Jean-Pierre is able to pull out and get a nice block, and Lynch untouched till he got to the goal line. Perfect.
And Marshawn Lynch, he missed the game with back spasms against the Browns, but breaks Shane Alexander's record in Seattle. 10 straight games with a score. Khalil Bell is in for Barber and breaks loose across the 25-yard line. Khalil Bell, who has come in with a 4.0 average and a little more shiftier than Barber.
There's no question, and brings more to the table and more Forte-like. You don't want to call him Matt Forte, but certainly more Forte-like than Marion Barber in terms of a route runner as a receiver. And the offense changes up a little bit. I was talking about all the power stuff with all the pulling with the offensive lineman and the man blocking with Barber out there. It's more zone and more zone blocking when Khalil Bell's out there playing.
And he carries again as David Hawthorne tries to keep him from the first down. Marion Barber, and it is a first down.
Tell you one thing both of these backs do is they will slam it up in there in terms of hitting the hole. There is no dancing around and trying to find a vision point and going sideways. Both Barber and Khalil Bell will stick that cleat in the ground and accelerate as fast as they can and hit the hole hard.
On first and 10, third possession for the Bears, a 3 and out and a fumble. Haney to throw and completes. A.J. Wright making the stop on Bell. I want to go back to Marion Barber because he did speak with Zach Zaidman of Bears Radio this week and wanted to look forward and not talk about, first of all, he doesn't talk a lot anyway, even when he's doing well, but obviously not running out of bounds, the fumble. And when he was asked, you have to say something to your teammates, he said, no, we have leadership, and Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs in the locker room. They'll push us forward in our playoff hopes.
Well, he couldn't wait to get back on the field today because that was an unexcusable error, not going down in bounds, period. That game was over if he stays in bounds against Denver last week.
After the 4-yard loss on second down, Haney, and what a catch by Earl Bennett. Earl Bennett, who had just 2 catches in the last 3 games, but was a catalyst with Cutler in the 5-game win streak with a pickup of 20.
That is an outstanding throw. We've seen Caleb Haney throw to that spot near the numbers. The first one to Knox, it was a fumble, and then this one. He can make these zone throws. Watch it go right over the linebacker and in front of the corner. Enough loft on it to get it high enough to clear the backer, but enough accuracy to drop it right on the money. That was a really good throw.
Khalil Bell remains the back. He gets the carry on first down. An arm tackle brings him down. Again, it's K.J. Wright, the rookie, who's the future middle linebacker for Seattle on defense, so that solid rookie class. But an impressive drive, way to bounce back after the turnover for the Bears.
And look, they got to run the football. They've got to put Caleb Haney in third manageable situations today. They did it last week. His day ended up being okay when you looked at the numbers, some missed opportunities, but 7-step drops, long third down and distance situations will not work in this game for Caleb. They got to set it up with the run game.
Pass is complete. That's the tight end, Kellen Davis. Haney spraying the ball around without Johnny Knox out there to go to.
That's another guy I'd throw to, and the safety's going to bail out. He's just going to go set up right here next to the linebacker.
So he's 6'7", only his 15th catch, but he has 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, they need to use him more in this offense, especially with Haney out there at quarterback.
This is Bell out of the 39-yard line. It'll be second down for Chicago, moving the ball nicely. Mike Martz talked about maybe having Haney throw on early downs.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, how good Seattle is, the best in the league at their first down run stuff. It makes a lot of sense to come out and try to fire it at where their weakness is, which is first down pass, not first down run defense.
Earl Bennett splits out to the left, and rookie Dane Zanzibacher, number 18, is moving out to the left now. That's Bell, and it'll bring up third down. Alan Branch, the former Cardinal, having a good year with the stop up front.
He's having an outstanding year, Alan Branch. He's playing the best football I've ever seen him play. He was a relatively high pick with Arizona, I think second round. You know, a lot of guys, when they kind of get hammered and in terms of he didn't reach expectation and their confidence gets down, they get an opportunity somewhere else and they rise up. He has been a major bright spot for Seattle up front.
On 3rd and 6. Quick pass over the head of Khalil Bell. There was pressure coming from Hawthorne. It'll be 4th down. Leon Washington back to receive the punt. Adam Pavlesh may try and corner this. On a sunny day in Chicago, the shadows right about the 9-10 yard line. Washington lets it go, and right in position is Corey Graham. And the #1 punt coverage team in the NFL lives up to that. Seattle on offense, they have the lead here in Chicago. From the Seattle 4, Tavares Jackson with a record of 16 and 15 in his 32nd NFL start with a 7-0 lead. It'll be Marshawn Lynch. Amobi Okoye in for Henry Melton, made the stop.
And Chicago really have played outstanding run defense since earlier in the year at Detroit. Amobi Okoye and Anthony Adams, they're just setting the point of attack at the line of scrimmage. Amobi Okoye's had a nice year. They got him up from Houston in the offseason, number 91. He's still so young, and he's played very good this year.
All right, so Lynch fell down. That's who Tavares Jackson wanted to give the ball to. And Jackson held on to it until Lance Briggs brought him down. Seattle in a hole now on 3rd down.
You're absolutely right. Tavares pivots out and wants to turn and hand it to Lynch just on an inside lead or an outside lead play. Good heads up play by Tavares, realizing that Lynch wasn't there, and now he had to make something out of it so he didn't get tackled by Briggs in the end zone for a safety.
The field, the turf a little bit soft. You see that middle strip of the field where it's been resodded on 3rd and 13.
Benjamin brings some pressure here. Here's Urlacher.
It's picked up. Tavares, the ball's knocked loose. And the Bears have it. Israel Adonijah with a touchdown, Chicago. Julius Peppers knocked it away.
Well, we talked about the matchup. Peppers on McQuiston. Here's Pep. He's coming this way. Urlacher's going to end up sifting over to the left, but this is old Julius Peppers. Going to swat that hand down, slips, gets back up, and then swat. Tavares Jackson tried to unload it. Peppers stuck that big long arm out and just knocked it out, and clearly a fumble as the empty hand is coming forward, and then Adonijah able to land on it for 6 points.
The automatic booth review, all scoring plays, but Julius Peppers getting credit for his 10th sack of the year.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. The ball was knocked out of the quarterback's hand before his arm started forward. Touchdown.
So Julius Peppers, the 10th sack mark for the 7th time in his career, first with the Bears, and then Israel Adonijah, his first touchdown, fumbling the loose ball in the end zone.
I'll tell you, great job by Peppers. I don't know how you leave him one-on-one with Paul McQuiston in that situation. I really don't. And he ended up with two guys looking for work, not blocking anybody, in particular the left guard, Robert Gallery. So they put Paul McQuiston out there on an island against one of the better rushers in the league, and they got bit for it.
Jackson had time, but had the football and was sacked and turned it over. So the extra point, Robbie Gould, there's a flag down. Tavares Jackson has fumbled 7 times and now lost 4 this year.
Offside defense. The nose guard moved into the neutral zone before the snap. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The try is good.
Tim, you said at the start that the Bears defense and special teams had to score given the limitations of its offense and the injuries.
You bet.
And that's why we're locked up at 7.
Absolutely. And that trend's going to have to continue. Because their offense has only scored 11 points per game. But you look at Tavares Jackson, and Pete Carroll knows this. The protection has not been great. They've now given up 42 sacks on the year. Coming into the game, it had been 11 sacks in the last 3 games. And I think obviously a big part of that we have not talked about, they've lost 3 starting offensive linemen. They lost James Carpenter, they lost John Moffitt, and they lost their left tackle Russell Okung a few weeks ago against Philadelphia.
But Pete Carroll said, look, back at the Dallas game, we're going to commit to the run instead of speedball, the hurry up that they tried, the no huddle, regardless of the results.
Did you want him to run there on 3rd and 12 in their own, backed up in their own goal line?
Especially in this kind of a game when you have a 7-0 lead.
Turn it handed to Lynch.
That's what maybe the Bears were ready, whatever Seattle tried to do. And kicking off from the 40 after that penalty. Touchbacks, by the way, as you would expect, way up, and touchdown returns less than half of what they were before the adjustment on kickoffs from the 35. And the College Bowl Guide, the best app available to keep you up to date on every College Bowl game this season with previews, interviews, scores, and highlights. You'll want to, wherever you are, check it out. The best part is it's free. The App Store, download the College Bowl Guide, now brought to you by The Daily and Fox Sports. Tim Ryan and Chris Myers here in Chicago. Marshawn Lynch, a touchdown run after a fumble recovery for Seattle. And the Bears, Israel Adonijah with a touchdown recovery of the loose ball as Lynch carries again. You know, his history against the Bears is not good running the football. In fact, the first game that Seattle, after they acquired him, that he played in was last October. And even though the Seahawks won that game, the Bears bottled up Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, he's a whole different back this year, Chris, and watching him. He's 10 to 12 pounds lighter. He is all over his craft as one of the better running backs right now in the NFL. And I think he's about to earn a nice big fat paycheck with a new contract and deserves it.
6 carries, only 8 yards so far. Peppers is on the left. Tavares Jackson throws late and incomplete. Nick Roach put the pressure out from his linebacker spot.
And the Bears don't send a lot of pressure, but they overloaded right behind Julius Peppers and send a couple of guys. And Tavares Jackson clearly saw the rush there and just had to get rid of it before he got sacked. That was Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator. One of the least blitzing groups in the NFL when you look at the Bears. You know Julius Peppers is going to attract a lot of attention anyway. You end up sending blitzers behind him. They're going to end up being unblocked free runners.
Justin Forsett is in on 3rd down. Julius Peppers lines up on the right side. Complete. 1st down. Doug Baldwin, the leading receiver for the Seahawks. You've heard his story, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Stanford.
He is a terrific slot receiver. And this is a matchup we'll see all day on DJ Moore. He's just going to come out, put the brakes on, and come back. There's DJ trying to settle him inside of him, actually. He's very, very good at knowing where the soft spots are. He's super smart and knowing where to get to in the soft area of the zone. And he is a huge weapon on 3rd down around the league.
Marshawn Lynch carries on 1st and 10 across the 35 of Seattle. 50 seconds to go here in the opening quarter. That touchdown by the Bears, Israel Adonijah, the 4th this season by Chicago's defense. 2 interception returns for scores and 2 fumble returns for a touchdown. Here it is, 2nd and 7.
And there's that, what I told you on his catches and what he is. 3rd down guy. 78% of his catches this year have resulted in a 1st down. He is the go-to guy at crunch time for Seattle on offense.
54.
Lynch, penalty flag. And he goes out of bounds. Run out by Charles Tillman.
Great job by Anthony Adams, Chris, who forced the hold on Jean-Pierre. And I said it, the defensive tackles, you play this zone running scheme, you got to play great and get penetration.
Offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
It's on Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, because Anthony Adams just flashed across his face, and he had no chance to block him. There's 95. And watch the penetration. Jean-Pierre, the right guard, basically just got to tackle him so he doesn't get a tackle for loss in the backfield. That being Anthony Adams.
Seahawks offense is going the wrong way on 2nd and 17 now as the clock runs down here in the opening
so
quarter.
Much of that zone blocking is cooperation blocking and two guys blocking a zone, and the way you beat it is with your defensive tackles getting penetration like we just saw.
Bears survive an injury to Johnny Knox and a turnover, and at the end of the first quarter we're tied in Chicago. Lovie Smith saying our playoffs start now. On the other side of the field, they weren't talking postseason, but both teams still mathematically alive. Chicago's final home game of the year on 2nd and 17 for the Seahawks. There's a flag as the ball is snapped when Tavares Jackson wasn't ready.
False start offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. It's second down.
That's Umbreno Giacomini, and the Seahawks, one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. They always talk about false starts penalties when you're in Seattle. Well, in Chicago, they're in the top 5 for visiting teams being penalized as well.
Well, give the crowd some recognition for that and some credit. And a lot of the penalties, as you see there, the false starts, really no excuse for all pre-snap stuff. Defensively, a lot of physical penalties, pass interference, stuff like that. But offense, a lot of it's been before the ball's been even snapped.
Golden Tate has it, is knocked down at the 35-yard line. Let's check in down on the field. We welcome Jamie Maggio. Jamie?
Hi, thank you, Chris. It's always so frightening when we see a player go down for as long as Johnny Knox did and then, of course, leave the field on a stretcher. I have very positive news. He's able to move his arms, his legs, all extremities. He's going to be okay. It's just a low to middle back injury. Chris, Tim, back to you.
Well, that is encouraging, and thank you, Jamie, because the way it looked and for as long as he laid there, it was frightening. We hope for a speedy recovery. On 3rd and 8. Jackson with time and a diving Mike Williams making the catch. That's only his 17th catch of the season, if they're going to call it a catch.
Well, I love what Tavares Jackson just did at the line of scrimmage, and really,
they're saying it's incomplete.
Either way,
Ball hit the ground. The pass is incomplete. 4th down.
Great job by the quarterback here, because the Bears are showing 2 wide safeties cover 2, a situation where they would play cover 2, but he uses the snap count and he forces this safety to show what he's doing. Now he knows the other safety's rotating. He's got man coverage out on the edge. He fires it, and Mike Williams can't hang on to it, but a very good job by the quarterback, Tavares Jackson.
And it looks like we're going to get a challenge flag coming from Pete Carroll and the Seattle sideline. Did Mike Williams convince his coach that he caught the football?
Seattle is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was incomplete.
We'll take a closer look, as will the officials.
Today's game is sponsored by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Verizon, your holiday tablet destination. And by the Ford F-150, the only truck available with EcoBoost.
The ruling on the field is no catch. Pete Carroll challenges Mike Williams' grab. Howard Slavin, our replay official, and they examine this, Tim, not only live action or real action, slow-mo, and frame by frame.
Absolutely, and they can log it back and stop it, and really interesting. They gave me a tour of it.
The ruling on the field stands as called. Seattle is charged with their first timeout. No change to the clocks.
Yeah, they gave me a review of how the booth works in the review booth, and it's really, really cool to everything they can use to get it right. This is a great effort by Mike Williams, who has it there, but you see as he slides out of bounds, the ball shifts, and it just didn't look like he had complete control of the football as he had gone out of bounds. But man, that one was close.
So they lose a timeout. John Ryan to punt. Devin Hester, who leads the NFL, averaging more than 18 yards a return Steps away and the ball digs in and then bounces down towards the 31-yard line. Make that the 21-yard line. Sorry about that. And that's where the change of possession will take over. We're tied at 7 here in the second quarter. Bears with a first down. Khalil Bell remains the back. Marion Barber got the start after 3 carries. He's out of there. Bell continuing on the series. And Bell carries moving forward, his 7th carry of the game. Make that his 6th carry for 17 yards.
And he is a jump cutter. You can see that. There's Marion Barber standing over on the sideline.
It should be pointed out that that fumble by Barber was his first in more than 300 offensive touches last week.
Go! 50, not 50.
Tell you one thing Chicago is going to do is they're going to make you defend these edges and defend the perimeter. No question.
On 2nd and 9. Haney with plenty of room to run. First down, Chicago.
And he needs to do more of that, Chris, period. I mean, those are backbreakers for defense when the quarterback can take off and run. Pressure from KJ Wright. Red Bryant comes up inside, and Caleb Haney just finds a little window and escapes out. You've got the defense that's playing some man coverage. Anytime you get that and they're turning their backs to the quarterback as defenders, the quarterback should see that and have a lot of real estate to run. He's a very, very good athlete. He needs to use his legs more in this offense.
A 13-yard pickup. That's the best run of the day for either team.
And even in the passing games in terms of the bootlegs and getting him out on the edge and letting him throw from out there.
He has time but can't find anybody, and then floats it down the sideline in the area of Roy Williams. After a 5-game winning streak, when Jay Cutler was injured against the Chargers, Caleb Haney was thrown into the starting role. At Colorado State, he was, as a senior, the team captain, set a school record for completion percentage at 64%. Told us you grow up in a hurry, not just in the NFL, but his wife, they had a daughter, they have a son on the way in March. Hoping to get the Bears closer to the playoffs. As Bell carries. Just across the 40-yard line.
And guys like Caleb Haney that have not had consistent, steady starts. And you need game reps. I don't care who you are. You don't get much better in practice. The game is completely different. He's got to get his confidence built up. And I think when you come out here in the first 2 starts, he had 6 interceptions, three interceptions in each game. You looked at him last week, and they almost become paralyzed, afraid to make a mistake. And it's hard for these guys to pull the trigger in terms of just letting it fly. They're thinking too much and too worried about making an error.
3rd and 8. He's on the run, throws and completes. Dane Sanzenbacher with the grab.
Well, he pulled the trigger that time and again used his legs to buy some time. And the Mike Martz offense is all about getting to that last step and getting the ball out on time. It doesn't always work how you throw it up on the chalkboard. He's able to break contain right there. You saw him hit the back step and then a perfect throw back across his body in between the zone to Dane Sanzenbacher.
So after an 18-yard pickup against Sanzenbacher, and we'll probably see more of Earl Bennett with the injury to Johnny Knox, who is out with a back injury, hurt in that opening quarter.
180!
On first down. Haney keeps. Goes out of bounds after a gain of about 4.5. Raheem Brock put the pressure on and forced Haney out of the pocket. He talked about being more comfortable in the pocket, and Tim Haney told us, that his brain is working, but it has to connect with his feet, kind of like me and my mouth there. Just wasn't happening the same way.
Well, Chris, it's all about practice, and I know you've got a lot of practice.
I got a lot of reps. Yes, I talk to myself quite a bit.
They got to turn and hand the ball off right here after a couple of times him using his legs here. Let him get his wind back here a little bit.
On 2nd and 5, and it is Marion Barber back in the lineup. Inside the 30.
This is what Marion Barber can do now. KJ Wright's got to be the guy to set the edge, but Marion Barber waits for Matt Spade to come get a block and then runs through the tackle of David Hawthorne.
And it's a first down, so after a 6-yard pickup, the mixing of Khalil Bell and Marion Barber has a nice drive going for Chicago. And Barber remains in.
And a fullback isolation play right here on a linebacker.
Haney.
Oh, love it.
He couldn't hold on inside the 25. Sonsenbacher and Roy Lewis on top of him.
That's a new wrinkle in their offense, and what we talked about of getting him out on the edge and using his legs, because they run the isolation fake, fullback on a linebacker, play action it to Barber, and then they end up getting man coverage. Caleb Haney rolls out, delivers it, but a good pass breakup, really good pass breakup by Roy Lewis, separating the arms and knocking the football out. But I like the wrinkle offensively and what Mike Marsh just dialed up there as a play call.
I mean, this is the most comfortable Haney has looked.
Well, he's getting into a rhythm. This is really the first time I've seen it in his 4 starts that he's been in a rhythm.
9th play of the drive. For the tight end. And it's intercepted. Earl Thomas. There's a penalty flag back at the 1-yard line. Thomas gets across the 17. The pass was intended for Kellen Davis.
He tried for the home run. He had Earl Bennett so wide open out in the right flat.
Chancellor may have tipped that ball.
Chancellor did get that long body and that hand up to get a piece of it.
After the interception, illegal block in the back by the interception team number 25. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal. Seattle keeps the ball, first down.
Caleb Haney, his 7th interception of the year. Another takeaway for Earl Thomas.
Sponsored by Pizza Hut's new Big Dinner Box. Get all your faves in one epic box.
Richard Sherman had the penalty after the interception by Earl Thomas, so they're backed up at the 1-yard line.
And Caleb Haney made the decision before the ball was even snapped. He was going to his tight end down the seam, Kellen Davis. He was covered up like a glove by Cam Chancellor.
Tavares Jackson from his own end zone. Incomplete. Julius Peppers was in on him.
Ron Marinelli's bringing the heat now in terms of the pressure.
No intentional grounding. There was a receiver in the area. The ball went over his head. He was outside the numbers. By rule, that is not a foul.
And that is a very clear explanation by Ed Hockley. 2nd and 10. This is where the Bears got their points on a sack and then a fumble recovery by Israel Adonijah.
I love the way they're moving Julius around. Peppers. That time he came from the left side. Right now he's lined up over on the right.
On 2nd and 10. Jackson keeps. It'll be 3rd and long. The field position game, the defensive struggle between these two teams continues.
And if you're Ron Marinelli, don't jump back into your cover 2 defense with 2 deep safeties. Continue to send the pressure on Tavares Jackson. He has had a hard time dealing with it in the first quarter plus of this game, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
On 3rd and 8, Marshawn Lynch. First down, Seahawks. What a clutch run by Lynch. His best run of the day.
Look at the hole that he has to run through right here. Roach ends up going outside. Matt Toina goes inside. Well, that's a really good block by Unger. That's the touchdown run that they had last week in the game against the St. Louis Rams. And it's Unger being able to reach the defensive tackle that's lined up to the outside of him. That should never happen. That is such a key block by the center, Max Unger.
A 15-yard pickup. Lynch again. Fighting hard, breaking tackles. Urlacher finally corralled him.
Love the fact that Darrell Bevell will repeat plays. That's the same play that they just ran. And you have success with it, keep running until they stop it. Darrell Bevell is short career here as a coordinator in the league. He has been known to do that if you've watched the tape of him this year.
And came over from Minnesota. Tavares Jackson was there. Lovie Smith said, hey, we're used to seeing Tavares from his days as a Viking. And the way Darrell Bevell calls a game. 4 yards away from 1,000 for Lynch. He gets the carry. He's not going to get it there. It'll be 3rd down for the Seahawks. That's the yardage each time he's carried the football. He's had a loss of 4 in there.
Well, that's when he slipped in the end zone, fell down, didn't even have a chance to get the handoff.
He checks out on 3rd and 7 as Justin Forsett is in with Doug Baldwin.
Well, Baldwin's the guy, but they got to get the tight ends going somehow, some way in this offense.
Urlacher drops back in coverage. Tavares going for Golden Tate. And excellent coverage back there by Tim Jennings. It's 4th down.
Looks like Golden Tate didn't finish his route. He was already turned looking for the ball, and Tavares wasn't ready to throw it yet. Watch Golden Tate as he turns. He's been turned and waiting for this thing already for about 8-9 yards. If he'd have just stayed on his course and finished off his route, that may have ended up being perfect in terms of the throw.
Tate playing more. Remember Sidney Rice on injured reserve for Seattle. Ryan with the boot. Devin Hester waves everybody back. The ball kicks and hits a Seahawk player up near the 42.5-yard line of Chicago. A 37-yard punt with no return, and that's the way Seattle wants it against that guy. Jay Cutler missing his 4th straight game after the thumb injury versus San Diego and surgery. And they're optimistic. He's been throwing the ball a little bit that the quarterback from Santa Claus, Indiana, could be back for Christmas
Where's
night
he from?
against the Packers. Santa Claus, Indiana. Ho, ho, ho. On 1st and 10. It's up about Caleb Haney handing to Marion Barber, who gets across the 45. Now, Haney did say that Cutler at least calms him down over on the sideline.
And does throw in his 2 cents, and that's what Caleb Haney told us. Look, Jay Cutler, when he was out there, that 5-game winning streak, right at the end when he got hurt in San Diego, I think he had really found his rhythm. I thought Mike Martz really started using him the right way, letting him move around, letting him use his legs. A lot of what they did was building off the run game. They were scoring 27 points as an offense in that 5-game winning streak. 11 points per game since with Caleb out there.
And again, it's Barber fighting hard. Knocked down short of the 49-yard line by Raheem Brock. That surgery, when they did the surgery on the thumb, they sterilized a football and put it in there on the hand of Jay Cutler. A little unorthodox, but they wanted so the setting would be right. He's got 5 different pins and screws in there, but anxious to get back. And some Bears people will tell you that 5-game stretch, Tim, you're talking about might have been the best quarterback play they've seen in Chicago in a long, long time.
No question. And what we forget is he's still only in his 6th year. I mean, there is a lot of outstanding football left for Jay Cutler, I believe.
Haney facing a 3rd and 4. Pressure coming. He steps up and then steps out. And he runs for the 1st down.
I think he's going to get it. I think the spot's going to be favorable. Love the empty set. Mike Martz just spread everybody out. There was no running backs in the backfield, so there's 5 guys going out. Many times going to force some type of a man coverage look. Caleb Haney keeping his eyes down the field and saw backs turn to him and took off and ran.
I don't think Pete Carroll likes the spot.
He doesn't like the integrity of his pass rush lanes with his defensive linemen is what he doesn't like. Get an empty set and you're playing a form of man coverage. You got to be very disciplined in your pass rush lanes and not give that quarterback an escape window, especially right out through the integrity, the middle part of your defense.
I remember Roger Goodell telling me that this is something fans really enjoy, the drama of the chain and the measurement. He's talking about
he's got that.
Putting the laser in the football, and the commissioner likes the drama.
Ed likes doing that.
And Hockley loves being on television. 5:18 to go here in the 1st quarter. The athleticism of Haney has helped out.
Well, and you love the fact that he's got his eyes down the field and he felt the rush. I mean, he stepped right up, saw Alan Branch, tried to shoot inside and got Alan Branch up in the air to try to block the ball. And he just tucked it and picked up a big 1st down.
So now Bell checks in on 1st and 10. 180! Haney throws into coverage. Sanzenberger, the receiver. There were 3 Seahawks all around the rookie from Ohio State.
They are so big when you look at this secondary, Chris. Richard Sherman is every bit of 6'3". I mean, just a massive, massive corner. Browner on the other side, who's got 5 picks, is every bit of 6'4", and Cam Chancellor, who just laid out and looked like he got a piece of the ball. The safety also 6'4". So because of that height and that length and those long arms, they get their hands on the football as much as anybody in the league.
Yeah, but Haney told us they have the size, we have the speed. Now that was
the speed got hurt with Johnny Knox and his back injury early in the game.
Out of the lineup, so he has to go in a different area as Bell carries. And it'll bring up 3rd down for Chicago. Battling for a playoff spot with a 7-6 record, and Seattle mathematically alive with a 6-7 mark.
And it's really a shame Johnny Knox did get hurt with the back injury early, because you look at these corners for Seattle, as big as they are, and just talked about that, and as physical as they are, you can really get them on the double moves. You have time to throw it. The start and stop moves, because of their size, they have issues stopping and then restarting their feet again and playing catch up.
They need 4 on 3rd down, and he can run for it again. He'll throw this time and connects with Dane Sanzenbacher for the 1st down.
Impressed with Caleb Haney. Sanzenbacher's going to end up camping out here on the sidelines, but it's this guy that's buying time with his legs. And that's good quarterback play. You got your eyes down the field and you're feeling the rush. He didn't have his eyes on the rush. He had his eyes down the field, but felt the defensive end take an inside rush and was able to break contain.
And Mike Martz said they'll open up the playbook a little bit more each game with Caleb Haney. And we have a timeout here.
Timeout Chicago. That's their first. It's a 30.
Bears have 2 remaining. Seattle has 2 as well. Remember, they lost on the challenge. This January, FX and Fox, your home for exciting live UFC action. More than 10 epic fights on 3 incredible nights featuring some of the best, some up and coming fighters, as well as contenders that are looking for their shot at history or maybe picking up a belt or a championship. It's a month of outstanding live UFC action. Begins on Saturday, January 14th on FX.
I figure Glazer and I are about the same weight class now, light heavies. I want some of that little dude in the octagon.
If you guys get in the octagon, you will squash him like a grape. On 1st and 10, that was an editorial.
He's mad right now. You know that. He just got angry. Love you, Glaze.
Barber, straight ahead running. And a good solid run inside the 30. Bears winning the time of possession battle by almost more than 5 minutes now, but they've yet to get any points offensively. A fumble led to the Seattle touchdown, and then when they were ready to score again, the interception by Earl Thomas, who has had both the fumble recovery and the pick for Seattle on defense. 2nd and 5. 180! It's Barber inside the 24-yard line. And he got the 1st down.
Well, and he got a good block. And Mike Tice told us the other day, Roberto Garza, the key that he gives them is he can handle the nose guard all by himself, which a lot of guys around the league can't. And watch Garza. It's a nice block there. He actually gets a little help from his right guard, but takes Mebane and just wipes him down the line of scrimmage. Creates a nice running lane for Barber.
And great balance. 8 carries for Barber, 8 carries for Bell. That's the way the line coach Mike Tice likes it. Barber with a tough tackle by David Hawthorne, who leads the Seahawks in tackles. Nearing the 2-minute warning here in Chicago. They played in the playoffs. Bears won that one. They played in the regular season last year. Seattle came to Chicago and won that one. In fact, the Seahawks in the series lead 8-12 all time, but the Bears have won both postseason meetings. Here we're tied at 7, but the Bears are on the move. Bears with a 2nd and 12 from the Seattle 25. 10th play of the drive. That's Bennett splitting out to the right. Haney sets and throws. And he has him. That's Khalil Bell for a Chicago touchdown.
Can you just feel his confidence just building for Caleb Haney? And look at the route. He's going to run Khalil Bell and then go inside David Hawthorne. Caleb Haney again resetting his feet, using his legs. Man, his confidence is growing. That was a strike to Bell for the touchdown.
And the Bears strike in the second quarter to take the lead on a 25-yard touchdown pass. The first career touchdown for Khalil Bell. And Caleb Haney, who finds his rhythm late in games, has found it here.
And look at him reset his feet. And again, keeping his eyes down the field. He knew, and he told us on Friday that he thought they could get some good matchups in the passing game on their linebackers. And that was a great example of it right there. And really a perfect route by Khalil Bell, running underneath the linebacker and then running away from him. Look at that gap of separation between himself and David Hawthorne.
The Bears playoff hopes, not only now are they out in front, but the Redskins are beating the Giants as they near the half, 17-3. The Giants came in as the NFC East leaders, but who knows in a wild card scramble.
Absolutely, and you got to be happy for Caleb Haney. I mean, that is a big momentum boost here with under 2 minutes to go right before halftime. Defense has got to come out and hold Seattle, but Caleb Haney has been getting hammered in sports radio around here. We were listening to it yesterday. It's ridiculous, and it's almost personal. Well, I'd be happy for the guy that he's come out here and he has functioned very well as a quarterback.
Yeah, the guy sitting next to him has heard a lot of that criticism as well, and you miss Jay Cutler when he's out. But Haney, who came in late in the championship game in the loss to Green Bay and really won over the locker room with how confidently he played, is having the best game in his stretch so far starting here. Leon Washington on the run. Gets across the 20. The Seahawk offense will take over. Kurt Menefee back at our studios in Los Angeles. What's going on, Kurt?
All right, coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, we'll have scores and highlights from a festive Week 15 in the National Football League, including maybe the Indianapolis Colts getting an early Christmas present, maybe that first win. We'll talk about it in the Visa Halftime. Now back to you.
Kurt looking very festive. And the Seahawk offense, only 73 yards of total offense so far. Because the defense of Chicago's been tough. Tavares Jackson will get rid of it. 4 out of 10.
Well, they are just out of sync. And Chicago is really not even defending the middle part of the field because they know Tavares Jackson. If you look at his numbers this year through the first 13 games, he's a guy that loves to throw numbers to sidelines. He is a perimeter thrower. Rarely does he throw the football between the numbers down the hash marks, and the Bears know it.
Justin Forsett carries. And gets up to the 30 before he is hit hard by Chris Conte from his safety spot, the rookie from California. And he is down. Never major right. Had a shoulder injury that forced Steltz into the lineup. Craig Steltz has played well at the other safety spot. Brandon Merriweather and Winston Venable, the backups behind the rookie Conte. It'll be 3rd and 1. The Bears use a timeout. They will have 1 remaining as Conte is in pain.
When he came up as Steltz missed the tackle, Conte came up and really just squared up right here on Forsett. So you can see it's really a good form up tackle. Bang right there, and he wraps, and then all the other guys come in and took a couple of bad shots there on his neck. That one right there from Max Unger.
And Tim, you know, inside of 2 minutes, if there's an injury, you are assessed a timeout, thus the Chicago timeout. Seattle has 2 remaining, 1:24 to go before we hit the half. Don't forget the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt will have all the highlights and scores. That Redskin-Giant game. Also the Saints and the Vikings battling in Minnesota.
And it looked like, I mean, from watching that replay, it looked like it could have been a head or a neck for Conte, but they're working on his right leg down there. And I think as Unger came and hit him, looked like he had some part of his right leg trapped under himself and got caught in a weird position.
Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Jamie Maggio down on the field. She reported earlier the injury to Johnny Knox, the back injury that has taken him out of this game. The Bears receiver and Chris Conte were checking on that injury, but we touched on the emotional, psychological effect of the Bears going through what they have gone through. Their defense certainly has come up big, and it seems like Caleb Haney has given them a lift.
Yeah, no question. I think all that distraction, as I said, the media distraction of the Sam Hurd arrest during the week, that's out of their system. They released him on Friday. They're not thinking about that today. And in terms of their psyche of losing the last 3 games, the beauty of the game of football is you can go line up the next week and you can get that bad taste out of your mouth. And they have done that. And the defense has been outstanding. They really have. And then offensively, the running game has been okay. But Caleb Haney, to me, has been the story. 7 of 14, 92 yards, had the touchdown, had the bad interception where he forced it into some double coverage. But I love, Chris, what he's done with his legs and making plays happen.
As 4 set carries on 3rd and 1. Conte was able to walk off the field. Brandon Merriweather came in for Conte, and he is headed to the locker room early as the Seahawks did get the first down. They again have 2 timeouts remaining. Tavares Jackson goes down the middle of the field and incomplete. That is now 5 straight incompletions for Tavares Jackson.
That was blanket coverage from Craig Steltz on Zach Miller. One of the rare times that Seattle's trying to drive it down the seam to the tight end, and Steltz was all over it.
The biggest pass play for the Seahawks today is the Cameron Mora catch of 21 yards. And again, no Seattle tight end has a touchdown catch this year. Pressure, he gets rid of it, incomplete. And Lance Briggs was back there.
Briggs is outstanding. He leads his defense in tackles, and this is going to be an intentional grounding. Watch Briggs right here. I mean, he just comes flying right through the middle of that offensive line. Tavares Jackson has got to throw it. He's still within the tackle box. I don't know if there was a receiver around. There's a crosser. Doug Baldwin's coming as a crosser, but it looked like he was about 8 to 10 yards beyond the depth of where the football landed.
Briggs, the leading tackler on this team, 128 coming in. Right behind him, Urlacher, 112 plus.
These guys can still do it and still lead this defense and are on their game week in and week out.
After discussion, number 15 was in the area a few yards away. The quarterback was throwing. Therefore, there is no foul. It's 3rd down.
Now, is that the gray area?
What's a few?
Is it 8? Is that 10? 5 yards?
More than one is, I think, the definition of a few. I'm not sure what that means.
So it's 3rd and 10. Low snap. Ball is fumbled. The Seahawks got it back, but it'll be 4th down.
How did Brian Urlacher not get that one? It just took a funny bounce.
Yeah, McQuiston actually recovered it, the tackle for the Seahawks.
And Tavares has been known to do this. That's a low snap. That's not his fault. Look at Urlacher. Oh, see, as Brian Urlacher was right in front of him, he was going to get it. Julius Pepper's leg was in the way, which shit. And you see Brian talking to him there. Dude, you just prevented me from getting the... Look at, you see that? He went to recover it. Pepper's leg just posted up right there. Brian couldn't get to it. McQuiston did. And Urlacher looks up at Peppers and like, dude.
Already a sack by Peppers has led to a touchdown on defense. Israel Adonijah with the recovery as Earl Bennett now is back to receive the punt. You hope that the ankle of Devin Hester hasn't acted up. No timeouts left for the Bears. Bennett. There's a lot of tough running to get across the 32-yard line. With 30 seconds remaining, a 7-yard return by Earl Bennett. And Caleb Haney 7 out of 14, 90-plus yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Will lead the offense with no timeouts remaining. Visa halftime report coming up with all the highlights and scores and updated stats. It's crunch time. For those that still have, there were more than 20 teams coming into the weekend that had playoff possibilities, at least playoff hopes. The Bears and Seahawks are in the mix.
57.
Brian Urlacher said we'll worry about that after we get through this game. They're going to run it to Khalil Bell, who has a first down across the 46-yard line.
Yeah, Caleb's got to get this thing clocked. Get it clocked, have a chance for another play or two to get in field goal position.
And you have Robbie Gould, one of the more consistent clutch kickers of all time, who hit a Bears record 57-yarder last week against the Broncos. So Haney will have a chance to at least get the ball further upfield.
Well, it's going to have to be something on the sideline, out of bounds, quick. There's not enough time to drive this ball down the middle of the field. You need 16 seconds if you're going to throw it anywhere in the middle of the field and have enough time to get your field goal unit out. They're going to either throw the Hail Mary or throw something quick out of bounds.
Need to get to the Seattle 32 for a 50-yard try, and he won't get anywhere except backwards. The Seahawk defense swarms in. Chris Clemens and Anthony Hargrove on Caleb Haney. And that will end the first half here in Chicago. With Caleb Haney with a touchdown pass to Bell. And Israel Adonijah with a fumble recovery after a Julius Peppers sack. And the Bears lead the Seahawks at the half. We'll have more from Soldier Field in a moment. Here in Soldier Field, getting ready to start the third quarter. The Seahawks get the football, trailing by 7. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Enjoying the NFL on Fox here in Chicago, along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. And the Bears defense scoring a touchdown for the 4th time this year. When they do that, they don't lose. They're 3-0, and they've also gotten a pretty good boost from Caleb Haney.
Well, we talked about them needing to supplement the offense with one of those types of plays. They've been able to do that, but I'm not so sure how much supplementation Caleb Haney needs. Look, he has been able to break down the man coverage by the Seattle Seahawks because he's used his legs. He's kept his eyes down the field. He's got 3 runs where he's got 7 yards of carry, and then resetting his feet on that perfect strike. The touchdown throw to Khalil Bell was really outstanding. And then I think on the other side, Seattle, if they can't run the football, it's hard for that offense to function. And they really have just not been able to run the ball. Not even 3 yards of carry for Marshawn Lynch, Chris, on 10 carries.
Leon Washington backs up and watches the ball go through the end zone. Touchback. Let's check in down on the field with Jamie Maggio.
All right, thanks, Chris. I had a chance to speak with Lovie Smith. He says he likes what he sees from Caleb Haney. He also likes what he sees from their defense, although they will look for a few more takeaways. As for Pete Carroll, he said they've got to contain Caleb Haney. They can't let him run around like that. Got to keep him in the pocket. As for their offense, he said we got to get our running game going to give us better field position. Chris, Tim, back to you guys.
All right, Brandon Merriweather in at safety for Chris Conte, who was injured right before the first half. Tavares Jackson has missed on his last 6 throws. And that one is caught by Zach Miller. It'll be 2nd down Seattle. Jamie, let's get an injury update.
Yeah, Chris, we just want to update you on Chris Conte, who we saw injured before the end of the half there. It's a right ankle. His return is questionable at this time. And also just want to remind everybody at home, Johnny Knox did leave the game early. But again, he's able to move all extremities. He's going to be okay. Back to you guys. All
right, and they're calling that a back injury, so no Johnny Knox. And it sounds like Conte, and already with Major Wright battling a shoulder injury, Bears beat up at safety. On 2nd and 9. Jackson, the quick throw is dropped. That was for Cameron Moore. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, and the Bears are just all over what Seattle's trying to do offensively. In the play before, they tried to bootleg, and Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs snipped it out before the play. As a matter of fact, Briggs was calling it out. I could see him from up here, and after the play, Urlacher said, yeah, you were all over it. I mean, these guys are in the heads of the Seattle Seahawks, and those last 2 plays in a row, you can tell by how the defensive ends have played and gotten upfield versus those little sprint out boot actions is They know Seattle's plays before Seattle's snapping the football.
On 3rd and 9, they may be coming.
They're going to play their cover 2 here.
Here comes Briggs, picked up, pass down the middle, and complete for a first down to Golden Tate, who's into Chicago territory. Charles Tillman slow to get up.
And Golden Tate's hurting himself. Very nice throw over the middle of the field on the in cut by Golden Tate. Right there is where Tillman gets hurt. He actually knocks his defender, Tim Jennings, off.
Biggest pass play of the game, a 33-yard gain.
Golden Tate started to flash here now. Since Sidney Rice has gone down, Golden Tate, his obviously play opportunities have gone up, but his impact with his offense has clearly gone up.
Have a timeout, Chicago.
Timeout, Chicago. That's their first.
Bears want to check on things with some injuries on defense.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By the 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee. By the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, in theaters December 21st, rated R. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Golden Tate over on the sideline. Charles Tillman is back in at corner for Chicago. They use the timeout on 1st and 10. Tavares Jackson for Ben Obamanu. He's got it. Inside the 5 of the Bears. Obamanu's first catch of the game. A 43-yard connection.
And just ran right by Jennings out on the corner. There's the one-on-one isolation matchup. And with the Bears trying to defend the run, they've got the safety Stelz up in the box. No reroute at all by Jennings. And when you put that extra safety up there, your corners are going to be out on an island. He gets no hand to reroute or slow down Ben Obamanu. Tavares threw a perfect ball.
Marshawn Lynch is close. He is in for a touchdown, his second of the game, and his 12th of the year overall. On his 11th carry, only 30 yards rushing, but 2 touchdowns.
And they just slammed the right side. Giacomini, watch the down block on Paya there, and then watch Zach Miller get the kick out block on Corey Wooten. You can't do it any better. Neither guy is able to disengage and get off the block. There's no way your safety, Brandon Merriweather, is going to be able to fill that hole fast enough and stop Lynch with a head of steam coming. Well blocked.
Stephen Hauschka with the extra point. Nice halftime adjustment by the Seahawks. And Marshawn Lynch, who's a yard away for 1,000 this year, has a touchdown and a tie game. He might be into the Skittles any moment. His second touchdown of the game. If you missed it in the first half, he broke the Seahawks record held by Sean Alexander with a touchdown in 10 straight games. But more importantly, we're tied at 14, and Devin Hester back out there to return kicks. Johnny Knox started the game in that area before his injury. It's a short kick. It'll be scooped by Hester. And he gets up the sideline where the Bears will take over on offense. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee for another game break. Kurt?
Well, the Chiefs' 6-0 lead disappears on one play. Aaron Rodgers looking up with Donald Driver for the touchdown. Packers lead for the first time today, obviously, 7-6. That's Rodgers' 40th touchdown pass of the season, breaking the Packer mark, owned by, well, you know who, Chris and Tim.
All right, thanks, Kurt. And so the Packers try to go undefeated. The Colts are winning. They're trying to get their first win of the year, avoid a winless season.
What did you just say? 180! The Colts are winning?
Yes, that's an upset. Marion Barber carries. You know, of the 12 playoff teams at the moment coming into the weekend, 10 of them had their starting quarterback playing for them, and that's a big reason, obviously, we see Chicago with Caleb Haney starting his 4th straight game here in a battle for just playoff hopes, however they can get there.
Absolutely, and give him credit for what he did in the first half. Now, second half is going to be a different animal, you would think, against this Seahawk defense. Pete Carroll is outstanding at his adjustments at halftime and dialing up a plan to thwart what the offense is hit you with in the first half. They are an outstanding second half defense.
Haney under pressure, and it's intercepted. Red Bryant has a Seahawk touchdown. And K.J. Wright was in the face of Caleb Haney.
I promise you that was a halftime adjustment. That's exactly what I was just talking about with Pete Carroll. Look, they're killing us on the edge plays. They've gotten us out on a bootleg a couple of times. Let's send K.J. Wright off the edge, run a little game with Red Bryant. Watch K.J. Bryant. He is just going to slam this boot right in the face, and Red Bryant is going to collect the interception and rumble in for the touchdown. I promise you that was something that was an adjustment at halftime put up on the board by Pete Carroll, and Chicago stepped right in the trap.
Seattle's 3rd interception return for a touchdown this season. And what a turnabout. Hauschka's extra point. The Bears had a 7-point lead at the half. Now they're facing a 7-point deficit. His father-in-law is Jacob Green, wears the same number, 79, the former defensive lineman.
Look at the high stepper.
His first career touchdown. Here in Chicago, when he walked into the meeting room, he stuck his hand out to you, Tim Ryan, and said, "Call me Big Red."
Yeah, I said Big Red Dog because you got some dog in you, and he does. He is nasty, and he is a mountain of a man. He's 328 pounds and every bit of it.
Devin Hester's going to bring it out of the end zone. And hit hard at the 15-yard line. Malcolm Smith with a terrific special teams play. And there's a flag down back on the Seahawks side of the field. Again, the first career touchdown for Red Bryant, who's known as a run stuffer, but took the interception and ran it into the end zone. We have Malcolm Smith, the injured player. He made the stop on Hester. Backup linebacker from USC.
The kicking team was offside on the play. 5-yard penalty. We will re-kick.
53 there, and it's just a head-on hit right into the leg of Devin Hester. And there's so many times that it's not a helmet to helmet when you get rocked or get a neck stinger or a pinched nerve in your neck or get a little wobbly or woozy. It's when your helmet makes contact with the lower body or to a leg, and that's exactly what happened.
So good news for the Bears. The penalty, they have to re-kick. Hester may have another chance. Friday, January 16th, one of the most anticipated bowl games of the season. Kansas State, 8th ranked, 6th ranked Arkansas, and the only Big 12 SEC showdown. January 6th, you'll see it in high definition live from Cowboy Stadium, the 76th Cotton Bowl Classic on Fox. The Cotton Bowl, the only non-BCS game that features 2 teams that are ranked in the top 10. So Khalil Bell goes back after the tough hit that Smith put on Hester. They're checking on Smith, and Hester's been in and out on the return game. Remember, he tweaked an ankle Thursday after practice. Without Johnny Knox, the return game limited for Chicago. So from the 30, here goes Hauschka. Bell has it. And Khalil Bell, who had his first career touchdown in the first half, gives the Bears the offense here at the 27-yard line.
Look at that big mountain of a man. I love this. Red Bryant, first of all, the ability to secure it. Now watch him tuck it. Well, he's not really tucking it, but then the high stepping. Look at.
How much weight was that, you said?
Well, he said he's 328 pounds. He's every bit of 6'6". He is massive and clearly light on his feet. with a little high step.
Number 79 moving with the football, and here it's Barber trying to get the Bears back in gear as he gets up to the 30-yard line.
And I'll tell you what else Red Bryant is he is a dominant run defender. And when I said you said Big Red, I said Big Red Dog, because he's got fight in it, and that's what they call the guys that got the fight and the nasty. Chris, they call them dogs, and he has got it. He gets after it. He plays physical. He plays with attitude. He's tenacious. Most of the time, they got two guys trying to block it.
Barber carries. Tough run for a first down up to the 40. And there's a flag down back at the 30.
Offense number 87. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Kellen Davis called for the hold that'll negate a terrific run, a terrific tough run by Marion Barber. $14 points in a hurry for the Seahawks. After Lynch scored a touchdown, they get the turnover and run it in for a 21-14 advantage.
56.
180. Bell has it, slips a tackle and gets across the 21-yard line. Bell has run 9 times for 40 yards. And again, that touchdown catch of the first half.
And I can promise you, they are going to make Caleb Haney throw from the pocket. And this ends up being a little screen, but you're going to see these defensive ends really be disciplined in keeping him contained up inside the pocket and making Caleb Haney throw from the pocket, because he killed him in the first half when he was able to escape out the side door.
On 3rd and 13, Bears number 2 for 26 on 3rd down coming in. They've done better today in that department. Haney's throw for Sanzenbacher, and Brandon Browner was there. No flags.
They had 8 guys in coverage that time, and Caleb Haney had nowhere to go with the ball. Chose to only rush 3, and again kept him hemmed up inside, made him try to read the coverage, and nobody was open.
And he didn't have room to run around as he did in the first half. So Leon Washington back to return the punt of Adam Podley. Seattle with 5 block kicks, most in the NFL. They play for the return here. Fair catch called for, and it kicks out of bounds inside the 35 of Seattle. Tavares Jackson, who got his team close enough for a touchdown from Marshawn Lynch last time, will bring his team out on the field, and we'll check on the flag. 5 penalties against the Seahawks assessed so far today.
Holding by the receiving team, number 21, during the kick. That's a 10-yard penalty that will be enforced from where the punt was caught. Seattle keeps the ball, first down.
So the 6th penalty is a big one that'll push Tavares and Seattle back. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers back here in Chicago, and Marshawn Lynch with 1 yard will join these guys in Seattle history, the only backs with 1,000 yards rushing or more. Sean Alexander did it 5 times. Great names. Kurt Warner, the Kurt with a C, and there is Marshawn, who today already has 2 touchdowns.
That amazed me that there's only 4. When you think of Chuck Knox and Ground Chuck and all the running they did with the football, only 4,000-yard backs.
And the Bears don't want to give it to him. Matt Toida was the first one to get his arms around Lynch.
Yeah, but I'll tell you who got it started was their 2nd-round pick, Stephen Paya, again with the defensive tackle penetration. And the ball's supposed to come here. And watch Paya reset the line of scrimmage in the backfield. Oh, he slammed it up inside and took Unger straight backwards. There's just nowhere for the running game to go. Once the running back's got to start or go sideways just a little bit, all the other defenders can catch up and get a tackle for loss.
Tavares Jackson throws and completes to Mike Williams, back on the lineup with Golden Tate for a big first down, and that is officially, that was a 1-yard gain for Lynch, so he hits the 1,000-yard mark.
And if the Bears are going to play cover 2, which they did there, which is the 2 deep safeties, the place to attack is right there in the middle of the field. and that's not Tavares Jackson's bread and butter in terms of where he likes to throw the football, Chris. So if they're going to show him those 2 deep safeties playing deep half, he will hit that area.
On 1st and 10 after a 21-yard gain, 4 wide receivers in. Pass complete. That's Williams again. And at 6'5", he's pushing toward the first down marker. Only 16 catches and 1 touchdown coming into the game. They've been disappointed after he had such a big year last year and got the contract, and he's beat up. Physical game with a lot of injuries already for both teams.
Well, it's just the style of both of these teams. They are both unbelievably physical all over the place at the line of scrimmage, on the back end, in the secondary. The running backs run so hard and so physical. Not surprised.
Had Chris Conte leave injured with Johnny Knox for the Bears. You saw Golden Tate go out earlier. He came back in.
Yeah, his left ankle got tweaked. You see right under the rear end of Charles Tillman. As Tillman was hanging on his lower end, he got hit up top, and his left ankle, no question, got trapped and rolled under Tillman. See his left ankle right there, and then Urlacher took him up high. It was the left ankle getting trapped under Charles Tillman, which got hurt there on Mike Williams.
So he is helped off the field. Deion Butler is active. He was active last week at his first catch after missing much of the first half of the year, coming off that broken leg of the previous season. On 1st and 10, it'll be Marshawn Lynch.
They are stunting the front. When I say that, the Bears, Rod Marinelli has chosen, we're not going to run it straight up. We are going to try to penetrate the gaps and make your run game go sideways. That time it was Julius Peppers just slammed it up inside there. There's nowhere for Lynch to go.
Lynch with 13 carries, only 30 yards against that Bear defense. He lost a yard there.
Julius Peppers is 1 sack away from 100 sacks in his career.
And he was in on that play as Lynch takes the throw and fights down to the 42.5-yard line. Let's get a game break and check it again with Kurt Benefield.
Well, you may not believe this one. Indianapolis picks off Matt Hasselbeck, former Seahawks quarterback. That's Jacob Lacey taking it 32 yards for the pick 6. And look at this. The Colts trying to win their first game of the year, up 17-6 as they start the 4th quarter. Chris and Tim, the Colts hadn't had a lead in a ball game since week 5.
That is amazing, and Tennessee was a playoff contender, tumbling backwards. They're playoff contenders here, battling for everything they can get.
Watch out for Baldwin here coming off the edge.
Forsett is in on 3rd down.
They have nobody covering Baldwin except this off player.
And Justin Forsett got the ball, but Urlacher didn't let him get the first down. An unusual call.
Especially at this area of the field.
I like what Brian Urlacher said. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is for the Bears, and that's when Jay Cutler was in there. We know as a defense we have to do the job, especially at home. They have scored a defensive touchdown, as have the Seahawks. John Ryan, the punt, and Earl Bennett standing at his 10, waving for the fair catch. 6:10 to go here in the 3rd quarter. The Bears will have the football, trailing by 7. We're checking on Brian Urlacher. He appears to be okay, and he told us that his words for Caleb Haney, hey, it's not all on your shoulders. Special teams defense will help you out. And Bell carries on 1st and 10 for Haney in the offense. 6 minutes to go. Seahawks leading by 7.
Well, listen, this offense is played good with the exception of a couple of miscues. And, you know, obviously the touchdown and Caleb Haney, the defensive touchdown by Seattle running right into the face of the pass rusher, is the one that they will look back on. But besides that, they've been able to run the ball with some pretty good success. And see if Caleb Haney can do some things, throw him from the pocket this half, because Seattle, I promise you, is going to do their best to keep him in there.
3 turnovers by the Chicago offense. Haney completes. There's a flag. Cullen Davis could not hold on.
Clemens is saying that someone held him out here on the edge.
Kellen Davis holding his side. And Hockley checking.
Holding, offense, number 73. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat second down.
And that's Mike Williams being taken away on the cart to the locker room.
You see his left shoe is off, and that's that left ankle that got trapped under Tillman.
After the penalty, the Bears at the 7-yard line.
I'll tell you who Pete Carroll is excited about is Lockett, a receiver they just promoted off the practice squad. So the guy doesn't know what he's doing yet, and he's inactive today, but every bit of 6'3", runs a 4.2 40. They're super excited about the upside of that young receiver.
A track star from Fort Valley State. On 2nd and 14. Haney running. Gets out across the 15-yard line. Chased by Raheem Brock. 4th run for Caleb Haney today.
Well, and Raheem Brock tried to keep contained on that play and keep Caleb Haney in the pocket, but Khalil Bell just chopped him down. You're going to see as Khalil Bell comes out on the protection here. Watch him chop the outside leg right there of Raheem Brock. Caleb Haney escapes to run. There's just nobody open to throw the ball to. Impressed with Khalil Bell today.
57 now.
On 3rd down and 6, Bell getting a lot more work.
You guys got 57.
180!
A little bit high and incomplete for Dane Satzabacher. It'll be 4th down for Chicago.
Yeah, he just flipped that. His footwork wasn't good if you watch Haney, because the ball just came out early and had too much air on it. If he would have set his feet and really drove it on a good line drive to the right spot, that would have been a nice easy completion for a 1st down.
Leon Washington looking for his first return touchdown this year. Podlash standing at his own 2. A high kick with a fair catch wait for the 46 of Seattle, where their offense will take over. You can get coverage of every NFL team with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL Now. The Bears playoff possibilities. Trying to go to 8-6, and Seattle trying to get to 500. They won 7 games last regular season, the Seahawks, and then went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Of course, Jay Cutler and the Bears were in the championship game before falling to the Super Bowl champion Packers.
I'll tell you what a disaster starting 7-3 for the Bears and you don't make the postseason, because the numbers say you absolutely should.
Pass complete. And Zach Miller across midfield. Seattle started out 2-6.
And look at that. I mean, 2-6, 0% chance. Seattle's obviously on the fringe, but do have an opportunity. 7-3, 83% chance you make the postseason.
Well, Brian Urlacher
That's what Chicago started.
He said we're a different team. Without Cutler and Forte, we lost our 2 best players. Marshawn Lynch, and the Bears have him figured out. Greg Stelz up from the safety spot. Now, Matt Forte wasn't as sure about returning for Christmas as at least Jay Cutler indicated he might be back for that game. Forte wants to be 100%. Still has a contract to be taken care of, just like Marshawn Lynch of the Seahawks. His contract up at the end of this year.
Yeah, and you always get the feeling, just listening on the outside in, and I'm not in that building over at Hallis Hall, but that Matt Forte is going to end up getting the franchise tag, Chris, which is a 1-year tender, a 1-year contract that pays you the average of the top 5 guys at your position.
Bears defense facing an important 3rd and 5. They got back for Golden Tate, and Jennings had his hands all over it.
Looked like Jennings just never turned his head to try to locate the ball. Can't have contact and not look. They're going to call it with the ball in there.
Interference, defense, number 26. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And you watch, there's the matchup. Watch as Golden Tate turns to look at the football. That's the cue of the corner. You got to turn your head and find the ball. And he's just hand fighting. He never turns his head to try to locate the ball. If he just turns and tries to make a play on the ball, all that stuff's legal in terms of the incidental contact up top.
A 16-yard penalty. Tavares Jackson throws and completes. That's Deion Butler's first catch of the game. That was one of the things Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon, who broadcast the Seattle games on radio, said that Tavares Jackson has done a good job of spraying the ball around to different receivers. That's 8 or 9 different receivers today.
Well, what I love is clearly they went at halftime and said, look, we got to start distributing the ball over the middle of the field and attacking between the numbers. That's been a big change here in the second half.
This will be Marshawn Lynch. He saw the third 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. The first 2 came when he was a member of the Buffalo Bills in 2007 and 2008.
And there's Darrell Bevell right now, and they know they're having issues. Bevell holding the card there. They know they're having issues really running the football with a lot of success. And they've been in numbers of the sideline throwing team. So the adjustment was, let's start hitting them down the middle of the field offensively. And then Pete Carroll's adjustments was, let's keep Caleb Haney in the pocket and start getting pressure on the edge. Both things have worked perfectly here in the third quarter.
It'll be Lynch. Knocked down right at the 15-yard line. And they're now at field goal range. Precious points, Tim, when you're the Bears and you know that your offense just does not score quickly. As the clock runs toward the end of the third quarter. Lynch with 34 yards rushing today, 2 scores on the ground.
What a dominant third quarter. I mean, and listen, 220 yards of total offense for Seattle in this game. 137 of it came here in the third quarter.
On 3rd and 7, 4 wide receivers for Seattle. Jackson to the end zone, incomplete. And there's a flag down on the other side of the field. You'll note the score at the bottom of the screen as they come in. The Giants have just scored, but they trail 23-9 at the moment to the Redskins. Saints are putting away the Vikings.
Illegal formation offense, number 88, was covered on the line of scrimmage. The penalty is declined, brings up 4th down.
The call against tight end Cameron Mora. A field goal try. They don't want to give Tavares Jackson an extra shot at a first down. So Stephen Hauschka, his first field goal try today. He's 21 out of 25 so far this season.
Watch the Bears inside now. They can block kicks. They had one last week against Denver with, I think Melton ended up with it, but
look out for Peppers. It's a 33-yard try.
Peppers and Donajay.
And the kick is good. Seattle, which trailed by 7, now has a 10-point lead with just over a minute to go in the third quarter. The most spectacular show on television comes to its exciting conclusion in a 2-night finale. The X Factor will deliver. The final 3 will face off live for your vote and find out who wins the biggest prize in TV history, a $5 million recording contract. The X Factor. It's a 2-night season finale, and the first part of that you'll see Wednesday on Fox. The Bears and Seahawks familiar with each other. Seattle got the regular season win last year in October on this field, and then the Bears avenged that with a playoff victory. And Chicago going to try and dig out of a 10-point deficit. And Devin Hester, the kind of guy that can help out. He hasn't caught a pass, and he's been in and out on kickoff and punt returns.
Yeah, because of that bad ankle that he tweaked last Thursday in practice. You mentioned trying to come back from 10, and you said it earlier. Without their 2 best players probably on the team, Forte and Cutler, Chris, it's going to be a tall order.
And the way the Seattle defense is playing, ball off the tee there. It's just a slight breeze. This is really, although it was cold for me, nice weather for Chicago.
You were freezing down there.
I'm not used to this. You know me. I had to take Jamie Maggio's parka away. That's a slight
light breeze.
Yeah, in Chicago, that's a slight breeze, right? Anywhere else, of course, If it continues to fall off the tee there, the league rule is you have to
because that's twice.
Here comes Doug Baldwin, who does everything. He did in the win against the Rams with a blocked kick and a catch and a touchdown.
I'll tell you, just one of those guys in the rookie class for Seattle. They nailed it with those rookies in terms of their impact on this team this year. John Schneider, the GM, and all the scouts and personnel people, really good work.
And an excellent kick. So the Bears out to the 20. Let's get a game break again. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, during their 19-game win streak, the Packers hadn't trailed in the fourth quarter, not once, until today. Kansas City doing it. Kyle Orton hooking up with Leonard Pope out of bounds the 1-yard line. He settled for a field goal, but Kansas City still with the lead, 12-7, trying to hand the Packers their first defeat of the season. Chris and Tim.
All right, thank you. Next week, we talk about Jay Cutler hoping to be able to play on Christmas night when the Bears face the Packers.
180!
As Khalil Bell carries, and it should be noted, remember the Bears put in a claim for Kyle Orton when he became available. They just, because of the order, was taken by Kansas City, so that's when they signed Josh McCown, who is the backup today for Caleb Haney.
And I asked Josh before the game, I said, are you going to have any chance of playing? He said, I didn't have one rep all week, so I don't anticipate playing unless something happens to Caleb. But the good thing about Josh McCown is he knows Mike Martz's offense. And being with Mike Martz in Detroit as the quarterback there, Josh knows what he's doing within the scheme.
Haney from the pocket to Bell. Grabbed around the ankle and short of the first down. Cam Chancellor. Those safeties for Seattle have had a big day. Earl Thomas with a fumble recovery and an interception. And Chancellor delivering some of the key hits. The third quarter belongs to the Seahawks as they build a 10-point advantage. 24-14 here in Chicago. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. Sim Ride, Chris Myers here as we start the fourth quarter in Chicago. Desperate for a win, trying to end a 3-game losing skid. Seahawks came in winning 4 of their last 5. On 3rd and 2. Haney is going to go down in the arms of Chris Clemens. And on a 3rd and 2, as well as the Bears have been running the football.
Well, and watch this, as he is such a good speed rusher, but it's an inside move by Chris Clemens because he can threaten the edge, and Big Webb knows about it, says, oh no, man, I can't let this guy beat me around the corner, and then he opens the door to the inside. What a terrific counter move by Chris Clemens. This guy is one of the elite pass rushers in the NFC as a defensive end, weighing about 255 pounds.
He's got 10 sacks. Podlish. Leon Washington. There was no fair catch. He stood there as if he had caught one. And what a play by the punter, Adam Podlesher. Leon Washington would have been in the end zone. It was a nifty move by Washington. It was almost like a statue, but he never waved his hand for the fair catch. A 35-yard return.
Washington returned the ball. One of the great ones, and has been as a return guy. Look at the move inside. Now watch this cut and vision to get to the outside. And Podlish able to turn on the juice and get him out of bounds, or that's 6 points. Well, you just feel like the air has been sucked right out of the Chicago Bears in the second half of this game in all phases of the game here.
Yeah, the Red Bryant returned for the touchdown.
It was a killer.
And now the Bears defense is going to have to make a play somehow, some way. Tavares Jackson's throw toward Golden Tate. He's out of bounds.
Golden can't believe it. He's like, what are you talking about? I caught that. Pete Carroll made a good point on Golden Tate. I was talking to Pete during the week, and he said this guy has been kind of a slow starter this year because even when he was at Notre Dame, he never participated in spring football, Chris. So his football development has been lacking. And the reason he never participated is because he played baseball for Notre Dame. And you couple that with the fact that they had the lockout and really no off-season work. He said all of that combined slowed the start to this guy's season in terms of his development.
Yeah, he was actually drafted by the Colorado Rockies, Golden Tate. And we have a challenge on that last play, and we will check it out. You were saying...
Seattle is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was incomplete.
They lost one challenge earlier, so if they miss this one, they're done for today.
On Fox is sponsored by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. By Visa. More fans go with Visa. And by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
And Hockley reviewing the ruling on the field is no catch for Golden Tate. The Seahawks have challenged, saying we think it is a catch.
And I think they're going to win it. And you're going to see the left knee by Golden Tate is down right there. And he finishes the process of the catch without the ball ever moving. This is going to be a catch, and it's going to be overturned.
The runner's knee hit inbounds before he went out of bounds. Therefore, the pass was complete at the 18-yard line. The clock is correct. That is Seattle's last challenge. They've used both. No timeouts are charged.
And here's another look at it. And this is why Golden Tate, I told you, was shocked when the official over on the side see knee down. Now here's the key, that as he slams into the ground, the ball never moves. He pins it to his chest. There's no movement of the ball. You see the line judge standing over there saying, no way. Golden Tate sitting back like, no. I caught that ball, and he did. Good challenge by Pete.
And worth it because Seattle has a 1st and 10. It's in the air. Cameron Moore has it. I'm sorry, Zach Miller has that reception tipped away in his own hands. And it'll be 2nd down. He stayed with it. Dangerous throw.
Very dangerous and a lot of traffic, but outstanding concentration by Zach Miller, because that's not a good throw, and he tips it up to himself and is able to pull it down. About 6 black jerseys around him. All right, 3 blue jerseys.
And 3 receivers here with no Mike Williams. He's out injured. Tavares and dropped Anthony McCoy, the backup tight end.
And there's the dichotomy I just talked about, with perfect concentration by one tight end, lack of concentration by the other, because that was executed perfectly by the quarterback. Getting out on the edge, going to fake the handoff, going to nake it out. Nobody in front of him except his receiver, perfectly thrown. McCoy can't hang on.
On 3rd and 4, Bears trying to keep it a 2-score difference. Their defense on the spot once again. Justin Forsett has a 1st down, goes out of bounds, no touchdown, close near the goal line.
I'll tell you, you see the growth, Chris, of Tavares Jackson, because this was really well played initially by Israel Adonijah, and Tavares Jackson doesn't throw it. Watch the defensive end who reads it.
They're hustling up to the line here. On
Tavares
1st and
doesn't
goal.
throw it, then unloads it. That was
Forsett with the carry, and Urlacher right on top of him. I think that the Seahawks are trying to catch the Bears off guard there. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if you want this clicking as much as you want, as much as you can if you're Seattle, I think you're right. I think they tried to catch him in a personnel grouping where they thought they had him and tried to stick it to him as fast as they could.
Can Marshawn Lynch get his 3rd touchdown of the game for Pete Carroll? Tavares Jackson, end zone, touchdown, Michael Robinson from the fullback spot into the end zone.
Well, Craig Stelz and Lance Briggs. There's Stelz, here's Briggs. They both play the tight end, and nobody covers Michael Robinson, who leaks out. See, they both got stuck on the tight end, and one of them, that's a busted coverage. One of them was supposed to get out there with the fullback, Michael Robinson. Nobody covered him.
Great play call and execution by the Seahawks, and with Hauschka's extra point, it's now 31-14 with just over 12.5 minutes to go. And for Michael Robinson, the former Penn State quarterback, it's his 1st career receiving touchdown. Brian Urlacher told us we're a different team than that team in the championship game. At one time, 7-3. The without Cutler, without Forte, coming back from 31-14 may be difficult.
And what's interesting is they busted coverages now in key spots the last couple of weeks down in with their backs against the goal line. Unusual for a Bears defense.
The up kick, Matt Spaeth, reserve tight end, has it for Chicago. They'll have good field position. But they're running out of time, not only in this game, but in their season.
This game is sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Khalil Bell the back at 1st and 10 Bears.
180!
Haney goes out of bounds after a first down gain for Tavares Jackson. His first half, he had 51 yards passing. It's 157 in the second half, 12 of 15, including the touchdown.
And Pete Carroll loves him, and as does Carl Smith, the quarterback coach, because they really believe he is untapped potential. This is start 32 for him. How many guys, legendary coaches, the great Bill Walsh, Mike Holmgren in Seattle so many years, he said those guys said it starts 33 through 40 is where you really know if the guy's got it or not for the future. And Tavares is just approaching that threshold.
Haney's throw, caught by Williams. First down, Chicago. And that is the first catch of the game for the former Cowboy and Lion, Roy Williams. You would think, after a gain of 9, that they'd be in a little bit more of a hurry here.
Well, here's the problem. They don't have a lot of no huddle unless it's a 2-minute situation. All these plays, and I think it's a big problem with their offense, is everything that's called in the huddle is locked. There's no check with me's, audible system at the line of scrimmage for the quarterback, and certainly not a lot of hurry up other than in the 2-minute.
Haney just throws that out of bounds, and it's outside the numbers, chased by K.J. Wright, part of that rookie class of the Seahawks that you talked about that's producing.
And there's Mike Martz, the offensive coordinator. Interesting as he spends a lot of his time now up in the press box. We've always known Mike Martz as a guy down on the sideline, liking to watch the game from that perspective. But their offense, he really feels like his system, his offense, the greatest show on turf from the late 90s with the Rams, has got answers to everything the defense does. So much of this league now, Chris, is quarterbacks making play calls and adjustments at the line of scrimmage.
And Haney's going to go down, and Chris Clemens is there.
And there's a good example of it right here. I mean, they got pressure dialed up, and this is a long developing play. Look at, they're sending a corner. They got a 6-man pressure going, and Caleb Haney is sitting there waiting for his receiver to make his break. Clemens comes inside. Caleb Haney is just sitting there, and I promise you from watching up here, the receiver, Chris, still had his back turned to the quarterback.
Second sack of the game for Clemens, third for the Seattle defense on 3rd and 16.
180!
He goes down again. Raheem Brock. Back-to-back sacks bury the Bears.
And Pete Carroll is just dialing up the pressures now. And Raheem Brock ends up getting it up here, but they're going to send pressure from this side. And Caleb Haney's got nowhere to come with the ball. Look at, here comes Atari Bigby. One step and hedge. And that's what I'm talking about with how many guys do we know now at the line of scrimmage, quarterbacks that come up, they recognize a pressure. What do? They audible to a short, quick pass. I've seen none of that, and the Bears frankly have none of it in their offense.
Leon Washington waving everybody away, and the Bears down it. A poor kick at the 40. And a little early Christmas present for the Seahawk defense. Christmas a week from today. Seattle working on its 7th victory of the year. The Lions play later today in Oakland. The Giants are losing late in the 4th quarter to the Redskins. The Bears letting an opportunity slip through their fingers, even with the most faint playoff hopes still alive. But how do you figure this league? The Packers are losing to Kansas City, and the Colts are winning against Tennessee. What's going on out there?
You know what I say NFL stands for? I say it every year. The National Fake You Out League.
Nobody's faking out Seattle. Not today. Not lately. Trying to win their 5th game in their last 6 tries. This is Marshawn Lynch. And the Bears are all over it. Lance Briggs. And the ball's out. And it looks like the Bears were the first one to it. The official saying it's down. But it's challengeable if you...
down before the ball came out. 2nd down.
And Lovey's going to want to get a good look at this and see if he wants to challenge it.
Yeah.
Watch Briggs come and really just run it up in the alley there. He's going to punch it out. Try and do there with his left arm. Yeah, the ground caused the fumble. Even if it did come out, it came out certainly late. He still got it as he's on the ground. It was a good call by the official.
The officials right on top of it. They've had an excellent day from the 36-yard line. They lost 4 on that.
Set! 390 set!
Jackson throwing for Golden Tate. He goes out of bounds right at the 40. We're talking about the fake you out league. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, you talked about it a second ago. Kansas City trying to pull the upset. Jackie battled with the touchdown run. They're starting to celebrate in Kansas City. There's 2:16 left. They have a 19-7 lead over the previously unbeaten Green Bay Packers. Chris and Tim.
And Romeo Crennel, the interim coach, replacing Todd Haley, inspired Kansas City. Wow, that is amazing.
I love Romeo. Romeo is such a good person.
On 3rd and 11. Across midfield, and Zach Miller makes the catch for a Seattle first down.
I'm telling you, the halftime adjustments were just out of sight for Pete Carroll and his coaching staff, and hitting Chicago and changing up their plan. See, that's what I love about Pete and his staff is it's not all about what's on the play card coming in. It's about adjusting on the fly during the game and having the ability to adjust your game plan on both sides of the ball. And it's clear they've done that here today.
4 catches for Zach Miller today.
Set! 390 set!
And the adjusting continues as he rolls and completes to Butler at the 45, going out of bounds. We mentioned the playoff possibilities for both of these teams, although they would need to win and get help. Here's how it stands at the moment. Packers, as you saw in Kurt Menefee's update, losing. The 49ers play Monday night against the Steelers. The Saints are winning big in Minnesota. Atlanta won on Thursday night, and the Lions play later. The Giants tumbling backwards after Dallas won last night.
I'll tell you, San Francisco, no matter what happens against Pittsburgh tomorrow night, they're going to have their hands full with the Seattle team next week.
And there goes Marshawn Lynch. It took 4 or 5 Bears to eventually bring him down at the 33-yard line. Clock continuing to run. A 12-yard run for Marshawn Lynch.
Tell you what's incredible,
there's the feed the beast, not just with anything, not just giving him the football, but he loves those Skittles. The story is
there's a few guys I know that should get on that Skittles diet. He's down like 10 or 12 pounds.
That's what Pete Carroll said. Now it's my favorite candy. Tavares Jackson said, I'll change my diet if it helps us win.
They're feeding those offensive linemen some Skittles because it doesn't matter who they plug in. They just keep running the ball with success.
There goes Lynch again. And then this is a game where the Bears have done a good job against Marshawn Lynch, and yet he has 2 scores. And his team has the lead.
And they're just committed to it, and they have committed to it. And there's Big Tom Cable there, the assistant head coach and the offensive line coach. What's amazing about how they are, and they've lost 3 starting offensive linemen, is Tom has got a unique perspective on coaching and practice, and the practice regimen is he cross-trains all these guys. And what I mean by that is right guard, you go play left tackle on this series. Left tackle, you go play right tackle, and vice versa. He's always shuffling guys around so that if there are injuries in game, you can just pull and plug guys in and not lose a lot schematically.
As Lynch carries and revamped, reshuffled offensive line. It seemed like every week the Seahawks were having to change somebody on that line due to injury. And it was the Dallas game when Pete Carroll and Tom Cable, the offensive line coach upstairs, said whatever the results are, that's what we're going to commit to the run after trying a little no huddle or hurry up, which we hadn't seen today. They hadn't needed it for Seattle. But in his second year, he already exceeded expectations with a playoff win in his first year back in the NFL. And now Pete Carroll can match the win total, at least regular season win total, of last year with a win today. Leon Washington checks in and gets inside the 30 before he gets knocked back. I mentioned the Skittles story with Marshawn Lynch. You know, in Seattle, they throw the candy on the field in the end zone when he gets in there. His mom gave him Skittles when he was a kid. He feels it's an energy kick. Well, the people with Skittles candy have offered him a dispenser. Derek Coleman of the Bears has one. They said, we'll put in your locker 24 to match your jersey, 24 months of Skittles, free supply for you and all of your friends. He's cashing in, and hopefully that he'll cash in on a contract when the time comes.
He certainly deserves it.
On 4th and 7, they're going to keep running or throwing. And he was wide open. Ben Obamanu. Just a little too long.
Well, he overthrew him, but that's part of the development of Tavares Jackson in terms of getting him open, just with some little subtleties, which you see the great ones do, the Drew Breeses, the Tom Bradys, and controlling safeties with their eyes. And this is the guy that you need to get moving a little bit to the middle of the field so you can get some clear out, and look at how he does that. And that's all Tavares Jackson, who's using his eyes, looking one way to get the safety to open up that window for his receiver, who you got vertically going down the seam. He just overthrew him, but a very good job setting him up and getting him open by moving the safety.
Haney 10 out of 22 with 2 interceptions and a touchdown. On 1st down, and he's intercepted again. It's Brandon Browner with his 6th interception of the year, and he is going to be back in the end zone for a Seahawk touchdown.
That's also going to give him, Chris, the all-time leader in return yards as an interception in the history of the Seattle Seahawks. And you know what? You can almost count that dude as a rookie right there, as a first-year player here with the Seahawks coming out of the Canadian Football League.
Brandon Browner, you talked about his size at 6'4". He has now 5 interceptions in his last 4 games.
And Roy Williams looked like he slipped, making his break into his route. Pete Carroll once again sent the pressure. Caleb Haney throws it up for grabs. Watch Roy stumble just kind of right there as he turned. That ball was very overthrown in terms of it being high, and it was an easy interception for Brandon Browner.
A 42-yard interception return. Browner, a guy who nobody would give a chance to when he came out of Oregon State. Pete recruited him, Pete Carroll. He did get tryouts when he played up in Canada for Calgary. He actually won a Grey Cup title in the CFL, but for 4 years, Minnesota, Philadelphia, they gave him. He said that the tryout, the way Pete Carroll worked him out and his staff, it was that tryout that they saw for a big guy. He has the ability to do things like that.
Well, look, Pete's been looking for big corners forever, and you saw the graphic there that I just talked about in the franchise record for return yards. Look, Pete Carroll, the beauty about Pete, and he told us, he said, look, I've always been looking for big corners, guys that are unique. This is the biggest secondary in the history of the NFL when you look at that tandem of corners. Pete knows them. He played against them. Brandon in college when he was at USC. Brandon Browner, an Oregon State kid, he knew what he was all about. Richard Sherman, a Stanford kid, Pete knew what he was all about. Pete Carroll knows what he's looking for and goes out and gets it and then plugs guys in, and they end up being outstanding players for him.
And Pete Carroll talked today about matching the intensity of the Chicago Bears, the Bears' final home game of the year.
Look at him hitting on Gus Bradley there, the defensive coordinator.
Pete always has a high level of intensity. It is a genuine enthusiasm that never seems to wear off, and his players respond. All the turnover from when he first came in continues.
Incredible.
And yet they're on their way to a 7-7 record in a rebuilding, reshaping year. This is Tyler Klutz on the kickoff. He's the fullback.
What a tale of 2 halves, huh? Caleb Haney, and you know, first half moving, making plays, busting, containing the defense, getting outside, running for first downs. Look at this one. Then the halftime adjustment where they're going to start getting after him, and this was right away the huge momentum changer. That really turned the game around, period.
And Josh McCown is coming in to play quarterback for the Bears. Picked up after the injury, as Caleb Haney said, it's his goal to be a starter in the NFL, his dream to play, but tough times are what you have to go through when you're in the big time. McCown
Webb just grabbed Chris Clemens and ripped him from around the neck.
And there's the flag.
Clemens was on his way to another sack.
Holding, offense number 73. 10-yard penalty, AC first down.
Clemens was going to beat him inside for another sack. Chris Clemens is just on fire. And look to the left, to the right of your screen there. I mean, he just grabs him and rips him from around the neck. But Clemens was going to get on the quarterback again. You know, so bad 2 guys threw a flag.
So it's going to be 1st and 20 back at the 17. Josh McCown, his first throw as a Bear to Khalil Bell. And a healthy gain out of that. We talked about what kind of emotional impact a devastating loss like the Denver Tim Tebow game, 10-0 late, losing in overtime. Sam Hurd during the week. Big Red still dancing over there for the Seahawks. Then an injury early to Johnny Knox. And not having your two best players in Cutler and
that's
Forte.
it. At the end of the day,
There's another interception, and this one is going to Richard Sherman, who you mentioned part of that rookie class. Somebody Pete Carroll knew from Stanford.
And he may end up being better than all of them, Chris. In terms of what Pete Carroll told us. McCown tries to throw the patented Mike Martz dig route, that inside cutting route. Richard Sherman just undercuts it and makes the interception.
The Redskins did lose. I'm sorry, they did defeat the Giants 23-19 as we look at the interception by Sherman. And the Packers are now within 5 of Kansas City with a minute and a half to go. And here Seattle has poured it on in the second half.
Mike Martz just went back to the well of that. They call it the 4 route, that dig route, the in-cutting route. Richard Sherman knew it before the ball came out and made a great break on it.
Justin Forsett carries. And just at 5'8", pushed back. Let's get another game break. Check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, here's how the Packers got to within 5. Just outside the 2-minute warning, Aaron Rodgers scrambles, runs it in from 8 yards out. That makes it 19-14. The onside kick failed. Kansas City now has the ball inside the 25-yard line, and the Packers are out of timeout. So it looks like Romeo Crennel will pull the upset in his debut, handing the Packers their first loss.
All right, thanks, Kurt, for keeping us updated every Sunday, every game. Kurt Menefee, the guys back in the studio, always with the latest scores and highlights, breaking into whatever game you're watching to make sure you're in tune with what's going on in the NFL. So following Sherman's 3rd interception of the season, Seahawks with Justin Forsett running, former teammate of Marshawn Lynch at Cal. In fact, Marshawn Lynch stood in Justin's wedding. They're good buddies, and was happy to welcome him when Seattle acquired Lynch from Buffalo last year. It's been a physically taxing game, and I'm sure for the Bears, mentally tough as well.
No question, because their run defense really has been outstanding in this game. Look, their offense, you said it many times, they've lost their 2 best players. They scored 7 points today on 5 turnovers. That's not going to ever win you a game.
Golden Tate cuts back. It'll be 4th down. They got to push it and shove it back at the 45-yard line. It's heated out there.
I'm telling you, nobody wants to play the Seattle Seahawks right now, as they're going to get their 5th win in 6 games here.
Lance Briggs limping over to the sideline, and the Packers have lost 19-14 Kansas City, and Romeo Crennel in his first game as the Chiefs head coach. And Indianapolis wins, ironically, within minutes on the same day the Colts get their first win of the year, beating Tennessee. But here it's all about Pete Carroll and the Seahawks leading the Bears with 2 minutes to go. An impressive performance on the road for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. They'll go to 7-7, matching their win total of last year before their playoff victory. And then they have the 49ers on Christmas Eve, and then on the road at Arizona as Leon Washington carries. You know, and at 7-7, the Giants lost today, so they're 7-7.
Oh no, I mean things could
Bears will be
work out.
7-7.
Things could work out wild. Now clearly on the tiebreaker over the Bears, haven't beaten them here today head to head. And that's what I was saying. Nobody wants to play the Seattle Seahawks right now, especially if San Francisco cannot get over the top of Pittsburgh tomorrow night, and they're in fear of losing that #2 seed to the New Orleans Saints. Crazier things could happen, but Seattle could end up being the 6th seed, going to San Francisco in the opening week of the playoffs, playing them as the 3 seed.
And you wonder if the Bears on Christmas night will bother pushing Cutler in that game, or Matt Forte, given their record as Bell carries, as they fall to 7-7, and he stays in bounds when you needed him to go out of bounds. Yeah, there is a flag down. And you wonder about Mike Martz fitting in with Chicago and if he'll be back next year.
12 men on the field by the defense. A penalty is declined. Brings up 2nd down.
You know, I don't know if he will or not. Speculation is he's got an opportunity to be possibly a head coach somewhere in college. There's Mike Martz right there. Look, they've lost their 2 best players. But really ever since Martzy has been here, what are they on offense? I mean, are they a throwing offense? Are they a running offense? Are they a balanced offense? It's just, and I feel bad for Urlacher and Briggs, who are still great players, but because of their age, their window of opportunity is shrinking. You just wonder long term about this offense and really where they're headed to really play with and link up to what they are defensively, which is an outstanding defense. And the capability of being an outstanding defense continues with Urlacher and Briggs and Peppers.
And you need to make sure you settle up with Matt Forte, whether he's franchised or you work his contract out, and hope for a healthy return at some point for Jay Cutler. Our producer today, Mike Burks. Director is Tom Yoli. Associate Director Brian Biederman. Broadcast Associate Matt Saldana. His father, Dave, helping us back in Los Angeles. Ty Yoli, who works with our production group. His birthday today.
Happy birthday,
What a
Ty.
way to spend your birthday. Not bad. An NFL game in Chicago in December. Also want to thank Scott Hagel of the Bears and Dave Pearson, Lane Gamble, and their staffs with the Seahawks for their help in helping us bring you this broadcast. Great optimism at one time with a 7-3 record, but injuries and tough competition has taken its toll on the Bears as Bell carries.